What's going on, everybody? We are back. We got episode number 45 of the Club and Sub podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Vettori versus Holland. That's UFC on ABC2. Nice little matinee show this week. We'll all actually be able to have Saturday nights. That's fun. And, I think we're going to have some controversial takes for you guys here. I hope they're not that controversial, but given what I'm seeing on MMA Twitter this week, it seems like they might be. So, pretty exciting. So, we'll get after it. Luke's not with us tonight. He's got some issues with his car. So we'll try to give his plays where we can remember them. But yeah, as usual, we're brought to you by betonline.ag. If you like a $1,000 bonus, up to a 50% bonus, up to $1,000 on your first deposit, use the promo code CLUBSUB. And yeah, guys, as usual, please, if you like the show, drop a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Anyway, so we are going head-to-head with ONE FC tonight, so we'll see how busy the chat is. I said to Magic M MMA earlier we should be able to outdraw Demetrius Johnson, but we will see if that holds up or not. But yeah, we'll get right into it. First fight of the night, we got Sasha Polatnikov taking on Sanganai. See, you want to start here?
Yeah, I'm not hell-bent on this, but I played Sasha. But I also picked up some Impa knockout when it was plus 800, mostly just because I thought the line was wide and I was going to beat it by a bit. But yeah, I think with Impa, it's got good cardio. He's durable, but he's pretty hittable, and he's pretty young in his career. I don't think there's any real reason for him to be minus 375 versus anyone, even Sasha. Sasha keeps his hands real low, but he does put out some output. And it's going to be a kickboxing match most likely. I could see, Impa might have the wrestling path if he takes it. Not really sure if that's going to be his game plan. But I just don't really see a scenario where, Impa's covering minus 400. Even versus Adams, he dropped around to Adams and then Adams gassed. I just don't really think that you could, cap Impa minus 400 here. If anything, Sasha's gonna, they're gonna exchange. Sasha throws decent volume. Even that Kosuke fight, if you watch it back, there was a point where Sasha, the fight could have been stopped, but Sasha made a mistake and he rolled out, and Kosuke kind of just fucking stopped him and was grounding pounding. He shouldn't have rolled out. If he would have just stood back up, he would have been fine and would have saved him a beating. But that's kind of where he got hurt, and then he spent the rest of the round recovering. I think Impa, if you're playing Impa, I'd rather have knockout at, I think right now it's sitting plus 350. I don't think there's a ton of value, but there's no way that you should lay minus 350 or minus 400 on Impa versus anyone in the UFC. It just doesn't really make logical sense. There's not enough data to point toward him being minus 400.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm kind of hoping for plus 300 that maybe it gets up there. But yeah, look, I played Buckley against Impa. I almost played Patolo against Impa. The problem is I'm fine with what Impa does. He's a good athlete, has a high output, has good cardio, but he's not a huge hitter. He's not, it's funny because, a lot of the takes I've seen leading up to this fight, it's about how much more technical Impa is. And I'd argue he's not very technical at all, other than he throws a straight jab. He does some cool stuff with elbows and, that rising knee and the clinch. But, he's extremely hittable. To your point, Anthony Adams was teeing off on him for a round. Buckley won the first round before he stopped him. He was hitting him clean every time. I guess my concern is, while I think Impa is – look, I think he's talented, and I think down the road he'll be good. But look, he's got some massive flaws in his game at the moment. The problem is Polatnikov doesn't have any defense at all either. Something I think so. It's just gonna be they're both Polatnikov's aggro as fuck. He's gonna go forward. They're gonna both hit each other in the face a lot. I kind of think the under 2.5 at plus 180 is pretty nice. I don't think either are massive hitters, but I expect there to be a lot of exchanges and not a lot of defense being played. And in that kind of fight, I don't know. That seems more like it should be an evens, for, under 2.5.
At plus 275. I have plus 325, but I think it's plus 275 right now.
Interesting.
For what bet, see?
Ends by knockout. You could get plus 275, I think, right now.
Oh, that's not bad. I might take that as well.
I will let you know right now.
Yeah, because that's actually pretty interesting. I don't think either of them are getting a sub. That would be pretty surprising.
It's plus 210 now.
Okay.
Still
But yeah,
better than
they're a little wise to it.
So yeah, like I lean Sasha at the number for sure. I think playing capping him at minus 300 is crazy. Lags, what is your take?
Yeah, not really different from you guys here. I kind of don't think it should be minus 300 here. I don't hate the KO props though. I kind of think though that Sasha's tough enough to make a decision. You know, Kosi hits harder than Impa. Obviously, you know, it was only for about a round. Impa's got, you know, better party than that. But yeah, I mean, I think this is Sasha pass-through playing from money line, but I don't hate the Impa KO bets or Impa decision, but just laying the chalk in general is just horrible.
Yeah, agreed. We move on. We got an interesting fight. It could be fun. It could be ugly. We got Da-Un Jung taking on William Knight. If you guys want to see something funny, go look at William Knight's Tapology picture. He literally looks like he's a male porn star in it. It's a riot. See, did you play Jung?
Yeah, I played Jung and I played the over.
So take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I played two. Honestly, I think the under is probably pretty predominantly a Jung finish. I guess my worry, he has a massive output advantage versus Knight. I mean, Knight legitimately just kind of stands there and does absolutely dog shit. He's just a beam machine. But you know, I guess his path is really just grinding out some top time. I could see it going. I lean that it goes to a decision. I think Jong by decisions plus 500, probably as good as the money line. Honestly, at that price, I picked up some GTD at like plus 275 or plus 300 or something stupid. But yeah, I mean, I just favor the output, the size. So yeah, I mean, and I just think Knight's just really not a UFC quality fighter. So I'm kind of like happy to fade Knight pretty much anytime I could get someone at evens against him. I mean, it's kind of just a fade of Knight more so than anything.
Yeah, I agree with you that he's not a UFC caliber fighter. I've seen some wild takes about William Knight as a prospect that don't make a ton of sense. I haven't made a bet though. I guess what concerns me is like I agree. I don't think Knight has any discernible striking defense, to be honest. The guy just gets hit square every time he's in space. I guess my concern is that I couldn't really find much data of Jung grappling, just really him being taken down by Cadiz while Cadiz was gassed out, which isn't to say he can't stop Knight's takedowns, but he will attempt a lot. I think Knight's wrestling is shit, to be honest, but he'll go for them. And it's like if he does get them, he is dangerous on top. And so I'm not eager to lay the juice there. But I do think, you know, if it does turn out Jung even has, you know, decent takedown defense, he should be able to just bash his skull in, to be honest. I think Knight's a meme. But on the other hand, while I'm not going to root for Knight because he's got it, and Luke have bets on him, on Jung, I am sort of hoping that he just finishes Jung very fast and then we get him at like minus 300 against someone who's decent. But yeah, we'll see. Lags, what's your take?
All right, so first thing I will say though, I've seen a lot of takes though about what's his name? I can't even think of it now. Who is he supposed to be here? William Knight. Mcdessie. I see a lot of things saying that, you know, Mcdessie was, you know, a worse opponent for William Knight. I don't think that's true at all. I think I rate the Jung much higher than I do along Mcdessie as a striker. And so yeah, and we were talking about before we came out on the pod here about the under, and I'm not saying I like the under to play it, but I kind of see the angle in the under because I kind of think that the Jung's going to kill him at range. It's just how often the fight's going to be at range, and that's kind of where I'm not going to play De Jong here. I kind of think that it could be live to, you know, grind some top time, grind some cage control here, but yeah, it's pass for me. I lean De Jong.
Yeah, can't blame me for a pass there. We move on. We got Luis Saldana taking on Jordan Griffin. Yes, I bet Jordan Griffin here. I bet him for 1 unit at plus 125. I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm passionate about it, to be honest. Like, I don't like Jordan Griffin very much as a fighter. You know, obviously I bet Zalal against him. I don't really think much of him, but he will attempt to wrestle even if he's not a great wrestler. And he's had competitive fights with guys like Chaz Skelly and Dan Ige. His fight with Ige was very close. And Ige's a legit top 10 guy at 145. And now he's taking on Saldana, who kind of weird. Like, I've seen people talk about him as a prospect. I heard someone today say he's improving and like in a couple of years he'll be good. Like, guys, he's 31 years old. Like, this is not somebody who's 24 coming from Contender Series. You can expect improvements from fight to fight. He's got 23 fights and he's 31. He kind of is what he is. My issue with Saldana, I guess, I shouldn't say issue. My issue with this fight is, Saldana's the better striker. I do think that. He's a cleaner striker. He's probably the more potent finisher, but he has limited tape. And of the tape we did see, the couple times I've seen him wrestled, he's looked absolutely lost. And so I know Griffin's going to try to wrestle, and I know he's kind of a slick submission artist, even if, his jiu-jitsu in and of itself isn't very good. So maybe Saldana's improved that because there is limited tape on him. But a guy who has been fighting bums outside the UFC, fighting a legit UFC fighter who can wrestle, and this is going to be a common theme throughout the night, who's been competitive with very good UFC fighters, I'm willing to take that fade and play the dog there for a unit. So it's 1 unit plus 125. Lags, how about you?
Yeah, kind of similar lean as well, John, but I'm just kind of not going to play it because I'm not too confident in Griffin's ability to pursue the takedown enough. Like, he doesn't attempt as many takedowns as, I would like to back him here. So I think it's a pass.
See?
Yeah, I played Griffin sub at plus 650. I kind of think if he grapples, it probably looks like a decent outcome. Saldana, he's older. Honestly, you could probably just blindly make money off fading guys like Saldana, especially when they're favorites. Griffin's at least had like competitive, rounds and fights in the UFC. Even the Zalal fight, I'd much rather. I'd take Zalal over Solanda pretty much any day of the week. Griffin kept it somewhat competitive, and I don't really buy into anything with Saldana. If you look at his strength of schedule, it's fucking terrible. I think there's a better case for Griffin as a slight favorite. I don't trust him that much, but I think if he does grapple, sub probably looks like a decent outcome.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that completely. So we move on, and then we got a pretty fun one. We got Jack Shore taking on Hunter Azure. Legs, you want to start here?
Yeah, that's fine. So I actually don't have a plan here because I moved on in this fight a little bit later in the week. I like Jack Shore here. I've seen a lot of takes here this week. He's going to be dominating the grappling later this fight goes, and I kind of see that. I think the first round is going to be a little bit sketchy because Azure, I think, has a speed and power advantage on the feet. But I think the later this fight goes, I think Jack Shore is going to be able to, wear on him, grind on him, and I think he's going to be able to get a late submission win here. So I like Jack Shore here. I like him as a prospect in general. He's solid overall fighter, solid striking, solid cardio, solid wrestling, and then solid jiu-jitsu as well. So I like Jack Shore here.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I picked up a little bit of Shore when it was like evens. I like Shore. I think the Katona fight's concerning for Hunter. I think Shore's like a pretty well-rounded prospect. I don't really like the athleticism, being capped athletically. I understand he is. I just think that, athleticism comes into play more so like at the top tier of the division, in my opinion. It's really when it kind of matters. Whereas someone like Shore versus Zor, I think, the more technical fighter, like Shore, is actually in a better scenario. Whereas, when they're closer to the top of the division, fundamentally they're both going to be pretty close, and athleticism means more there. Whereas here, I think you can get by with fundamentals, and I do think, Shore has a pretty clean game. And if once he gets on top of Hunter, I think Hunter's pretty much fucked. I think with Hunter, his striking's, it's not like it's good. I mean, he hits hard. He's quick, but it's not like he's super accurate or has great, striking technique. Uh, and the concerning thing with Hunter is like now we've seen twice in a row him get very tired very quickly. So if you're like somewhat concerned with Shore, or you kind of want to do like a mini hedge, you could take Hunter knockout plus 750, or even just round one knockout as a hedge. I think it's pretty. I'd be pretty surprised if Hunter won a decision. Unless he's made drastic changes cardio wise. Yeah, I think Shore should be a decent favorite.
Yeah. So it's weird. I bet Shore for 2 units at minus 124. He's at like minus 160, 170 in places now. I would not bet him at the line. I'm actually having I guess my thoughts mostly echo C's. I'm having some buyer's remorse, to be honest, because I think I looked a little too close at the end of the Cole Smith fight and the fight with Katona. It just because, yeah, he got put in some bad spots that I'm not sure he can survive with Shore. But I do think, C mentioned the athleticism. I don't think it's going to be easy for Shore to close distance early in this fight. And I do think Shore is the more technical striker. But for the first 6-7 minutes, I think, Azure is going to be very live to knock him out. I don't know. I have no reason to think that Shore is chinny. But, Azure does hit very hard, and he is faster, and he is bigger. So, I guess I'm fine with it at minus 124. I wouldn't really play it where it is right now. I do agree, though. I kind of think once Azure, if Shore gets him down, he's going to hurt him on top. He's got great ground and pound, and Azure does have, that tendency to give his back to get up. And it's I've seen people say, oh, he always works right back up right away. It's if he gives his back to Shore, he's going to probably just end up flattened out, or with Shore in a body triangle on him. So I do think the fight really comes down to, C mentioned it in our group chat earlier in the week that, Azure KO is a good hedge. And I do agree with that because I'm pretty confident Azure can't keep space for 15 minutes here. So I might look into that. Anybody know what the number is on that?
Plus
I got
750.
you.
Plus 750? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to play that then just because I think that is a decent hedge. And I would be pretty
Yeah.
I kind of think if Azure is having enough success to win rounds, he probably finishes him, in my opinion. So we'll see. I'm on Shore, but like I said, it's not the most overtly confident play I've ever had.
Yeah, we'll say.
Now we move on.
Real quick,
Yeah.
sorry. I would say what's surprising, though, is Azure and Shore, both of their decision lines are the same.
That's pretty bizarre. What is it?
Plus 230, and then the Shore submissions plus 250.
That's pretty weird. I mean, but I do think Shore, every outcome is live for Shore, to be honest. What was that? See, did you mute yourself? See, you're muted.
I think he did it on purpose.
Okay. All right. So we move on. We go to a dumpster fire of a fight. We got Jorgen de Castro taking on Georgie Stanhope. It's hard for me to have a very strong opinion of this fight. Look, the line's probably justified, but I'm at the point with de Castro where it's look, I know Dano probably only has one round of gas. I know he's horrible, but at this point, de Castro is, I mean, he basically, look, he's got great leg kicks. He's he seems like a guy who went to 10 Muay Thai classes, learned a low calf kick, and then was just all right, I got it figured out. Because it's as soon as the calf kick gets taken away, he has basically no plan B. We saw him go in the Hardy fight. He injured his foot, didn't have calf kicks, and then basically just let Hardy jab him in the face for the last 10 minutes of the fight. In his fight with Felipe just checked the kicks, and sure enough, de Castro just spent the entirety of the third round just trying to push him into the clinch. He just, to me, look, he hit that nice counter right hook on Tafa. That was cool and all, but he's not anything special, to be honest. Like, I don't think other than those leg kicks, I don't really think he's a UFC level fighter. And so it's like, I think he should take care of Danho. Danho's terrible, and he'll probably gas out if he doesn't finish him in the first round. But what if Danho checks kicks? Then what? Do you want to be holding a minus 300 ticket on Jurgen de Castro? Not me. So, look, I think he's going to win. I think the line's probably right, but whatever. Legs, how about you?
Yeah, I guess there's not really much to have a strong opinion here. I mean, I guess kind of like how you touched on with Dano, 5-year long layoff coming off PEDs.
Yeah.
And then with the Castro, it's like same thing with the leg kicks. It's like he doesn't have a plan B, and like land minus 300 with the guy who doesn't have a plan B other than that knockout with the leg kicks. It's tough to trust them. So yeah, easy pass.
See ya, baby.
Pass.
All right, now we get serious.
This
we
is
got
John
the Bull Mcdessie.
This is the kindling of the first campfire, ladies and gentlemen.
It is taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. Now, let me tell you guys something. If you came up to me and you told me, "Hey, there's this kid Ignacio Bahamondes who's got a 75-inch reach and a 6'3", and he's a plus 200 favorite against John Mcdessie, but I think maybe he can be acting up to win. I'm going to take a stab." I'd say, okay, I can at least get on board with that. Instead, he's minus 200, and like all I'm hearing is like, oh, he's too big for him. He's too big for John Mcdessie. It's like, and like look at how you go look at his tape for Bahamondes. First of all, the guy has been fighting absolute cans. 3 fights ago, he lost to Salvador Becerra, a combate fighter who's probably never fighting in the UFC. Basically just walked him down and landed on him clean for 3 rounds. Then he fights, I think it was Chris Brown, who's a 5-3 fighter in LFA, a guy who was never sniffing the UFC. Went to a split decision, was getting kicked clean all fight. Then he goes to Dana White's Contenders, and what do? They give him a guy who's basically a featherweight who was overweight by 30 pounds, who he just beat up for 3 rounds. So that is where we are. Like, Ignacio Bahamondes has no defense whatsoever. I don't even think he's a particularly good striker. Like, he does some flashy stuff, but no gas tank either. No understanding of distance despite being massive. And so it's like, okay, cool. He had a cool knockout on Contenders. And he's fighting John Mcdessie, who, like, yeah, I get it. John McDessie's not a sexy fighter. He lost to Trinaldo. Trinaldo would put this dude in a fucking body bag. Like, how can that even be, like, brought up in the context of this fight? So, like, the size bothers me a little bit, but McDessie's has got more UFC fights than this guy has career fights. He's 10-8 in the UFC. You look at the guys he's fought, he hasn't been outlanded at distance since 2012. Now, he's lost a couple bad split decisions, and that's, always the risk with McDessie is his style is point fighting based, and he could give away a split decision. But, like, I'm extremely confident that skill-wise, this isn't a remotely close matchup. Like, maybe Bahamondes KOs him. Maybe he wins a close decision. But, like, didn't we see this 2 fights ago against Jesus Pineda when he was giving away 3 inches in height and 6 inches in reach? He just cruised to a easy 30-27 because he was just a superior kickboxer. That's kind of what I think is going to happen here. I think the line makes no sense. I think playing these spots, like C said earlier, you could just fade these guys blind and make money. But here you have a guy who we know has no defense, and all he really has is a body, and he's minus 190 against, one of the most efficient strikers statistically in UFC history. So, yeah, I'm on Mcdessie big. I have 3 units of plus 165. Lags, how about you?
Yeah, so you touched on it later in that breakdown with the length and the reach, and that kind of seems like what everybody's using as like their big selling point for Bahamondes this week. But it's like, okay, so McDessie's fought Yancey and he's fought Pinedo, like you just touched on. Where Pinedo, I kind of think skill-wise, is probably where Bahamondes is. Like, that's probably 50-50 fight, and like you touched on, Trinaldo probably blows Bahamondes out of the water. So it's like, I don't think McDessie's going to struggle a ton with the reach because he's fought guys similar to reach in that aspect. And then I think McDessie's got more tools on the feet in general. I think that calf kick's going to be a problem for Bahamondes. And I think just the full work and the distance management of John is going to be a big problem for him. And I just kind of think that plus 160 is pretty fucking crazy, to be honest with you. And then I think that it looks closer to an evens fight than Bahamondes justifying the 65% line right now. So I got a unit on McDessie plus 160, and I have a half unit on McDessie by decision at plus 300.
See, how about you?
Yeah, this is one of like the first fights that I taped a few weeks ago, and I took McDessie at like plus 145, kind of thinking that was going to have some monster value, but it's kind of just been Ignacio, like one-way street, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I have like similar sentiments. Like Mcdessie, one, I wish Ignacio was facing a grappler. He's not a good grappler at all, but
Yeah.
the guy's going to have a difficult weight cut. I mean, I know like for a fact that it's not an easy weight cut. I've seen the guy, kind of somewhat know him. But yeah, I mean, skill wise, like Mcdessie's not easily out. Like, who's easily out kickboxing Mcdessie? Like, I've seen some takes about Ignacio fucking being an undefeated kickboxer on the Chile fucking regional scene. I don't even know like what it's worth. Like, who cares? I mean, Mcdessie was also a fucking undefeated Muay Thai fucking guy. Like, what? Who cares? I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. If anything, like I've seen Mcdessie fight in the UFC versus UFC level competition and look competitive. And when he takes a step down in competition, normally how these things go, they look good. They look great. And like Mcdessie, I mean, even his striking defense and his accuracy, I mean, it's on point. His metrics check out. Like his metrics for a pure kickboxing match, which it's gonna be, check out big time. So, I get it that he's older. He's been knocked out before. But even Ignacio, I mean, it's not really like on the regional scene Ignacio's just dropping people with one shot. It's not really his MO. Even LFA, I mean, going to a fucking decision with Curtis Brown, like Mcdessie is like minus 2,000 versus him. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, for real, like that level, I mean, whatever. If you want to play him based on length and age, sure, but man, I just don't know how you could like play that juice. Like maybe, I could understand if you were taking a shot, maybe if it was like evens, like maybe. But I personally have Mcdessie at like 60%. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. People get burned so many times with this, and it's just gonna keep happening. So let's run it again.
It's true. It's as if Gloria DePaula didn't even happen. That's
Or JP buys.
Yeah, it's like, how many times do we have to see this happen? And it's like, I don't mean to say blanket fade contenders fighters or anything like that, but like, I'm happy to bet a contenders fighter when they're fighting like another debutant or someone who's 0-2 in the UFC, not when they're fighting somebody that has 18 fights in the UFC.
And
but yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, exactly. So we move on. We got a interesting female fight here. We got Norma Dumont taking on Erin Blanchfield. Blags, you have an opinion here?
Not a super strong one, nor differing from anybody else that I've seen on Twitter, really. I kind of think that the strength and the size of Dumont's going to be kind of what wins her the fight here, to be honest. I don't know. I like Blanchfield in general. I like her game, but I think the size is going to be huge here.
See, how about you?
I took some Dumont knockout. I don't mind doesn't go to decision or the under. I guess those are also, not bad. Yeah, I mean, I just mostly took it because Blanchfield's going to get hit in the face hard by somebody significantly bigger, and she doesn't really have striking defense. I mean, this is no way, shape, or form me endorsing Dumont. I don't think she's, anything really, but it's worth it at the number. I got like plus 10, or what did I get? Plus 1050 or something. Yeah, plus 1050. Yeah, I thought it was worth a shot. I mean, it's WMA, so it's probably not going to happen, but whatever.
Yeah, it's like I had like, I don't know, moderate interest in Blanchfield, I guess, because I do think skill for skill, she is probably better than Dumont. But I mean, Dumont fought at featherweight 2 fights ago against Megan Anderson and was like getting body locks and like ripping Megan Anderson to the ground before she got killed. Whereas Blanchfield spent her whole career fighting at 125. And so it's like the difference between like the size difference is massive here. Now I don't know if that's all just Dumont's ass, but like she did not look like a small girl at 145. Look, I think Blanchfield's more potent offensively in terms of what she can do, both in terms of grappling and striking. But like C said, and like, we've all talked about it, we're talking about in the group chat today, Blanchfield doesn't really have much discernible defense. And so it's like, we see these fights, and obviously this is about 12 tiers below in terms of level, but like take something like Poirier Holloway, or whenever we see someone go up in weight, and you can just see, someone might be the more effective striker, but if the other person's landing a lot harder, they're going to lose the fight or get KO'd. And that's kind of what I think happens here. I don't think, even though like I'm with you guys, I don't rate Dumont too much. I wouldn't say Blanchfield's a great wrestler. She's a decent grappler. And so I don't really buy her hitting takedowns like with any ease. It's just, look, if you told me you were taking a shot at Blanchfield, I would appreciate it. But I can't be a part of it. so yeah.
By the way, Luke is on the under.
Luke is on the under. There you go.
And he's the Blanchfield's going to win via toe hold.
Toe hold?
All the units. Yeah, all the units. Toe hold.
Did you break this down already, Lex?
Yes, I did.
All right, cool. Yeah. We move on. We got Scott Holtzman taking on Mateus Gamrot, making his second fight in the UFC. C, you want to take it away?
Yeah. I don't have a super strong opinion on this fight per se. But I do think Gamrot is the goods. I think a late round finish wouldn't surprise me. Holtzman is like 37, coming off a pretty bad knockout. Went to war with Miller. But Holtzman's going to bring it. I give him that. I mean, it's going to be a firefight, probably early on. But I genuinely am probably higher on Gamrot than the market. I kind of think that, it's a stretch, but I genuinely think that he beats some of the guys in the top 5, and I'm pretty confident over 5. Like, I would take him over Chandler and Oliveira over 5 rounds, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I actually lean Holtz here, to be honest. I haven't bet it because I agree with you. I actually like Gamrot as a prospect a lot. Like, his fight with Kutaladze was probably one of the most high-level fights between debutants we've had, like, ever in the UFC. But, like, I don't know. Like, Holtzman brings a lot of challenges for someone that's new to the UFC that are tough to deal with. It's constant pressure, and he's not really easy to grapple. He may get taken down a couple times, but he's going to get back up. And like, if Benny and Miller couldn't get his back, I don't think Gamrot's going to be getting it either. He fights hands really well when he gets up. And so it's like, I agree skill for skill. And in terms of what their upside is, I think Gamrot's upside is top 5 probably, just based on the talent he's shown. But in this particular fight, it's like he's going to have to I think he's going to have to win it on the feet mostly, and he may, but he's going to get his cardio tested, and he's going to face pressure that he really hasn't seen before. And so it's like that kind of fight. I don't know. Holtzman's pretty battle tested, and plus 190 seems like a big number. I'm kind of hoping more Gamrot money comes in and it goes to like plus 230. Like, that would be nice, because at 30%, I feel pretty comfortable that I'm getting on the right side here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a firefight. Gugabe just said it in the chat under, and like, I think that's kind of on point.
Yeah.
Like, I think Holtzman's going to make sure they swing. Like, if Gamrot doesn't swing, he's going to probably lose the fight. So it's like there's going to be bombs exchanged in this fight. So yeah, I like that, and I kind of lean Holtzman as well. Legs, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of lean similar to C here, but yeah, no plays here, but I like the under look as well. But yeah, nothing too strong.
Cool. We move on. Speaking of Jim Miller, we have Jim Miller taking on the Club and Sub podcast boy, Joe Salecki, who in his last fight cashed us all a big bet against Austin Hubbard.
And a
Um,
nice round 1 1600 sub.
that was beautiful. That was a beautiful fight. Lags, you want to take it away here?
Yeah, so I think kind of similar to the last fight that I think Scott's gonna cause early problems for Gamrot, and kind of here I think Jim would cause early problems for Joe, but the later this fight goes, I think Joe's gonna be able to wear on an older Jim Miller. I mean, it's kind of the old song and dance with Jim Miller. If he doesn't KO him or sub him in the first round, he usually ends up getting finished or losing a unanimous wide decision. So I kind of like Salecki here. I know everybody's been saying Salecki Vittori parlays. I don't hate it really.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Jim Miller fan, but I do kind of, I do think Salecki. I'm not, I wouldn't lay the juice, and if you did, maybe just take Miller round 1. I think the most likely outcome for Miller is like a knockout round 1. I mean, I know people say that Miller, hasn't gotten a knockout in whatever the fucking time period is, but I mean, he throws heat early. I guess for me, I played a bit of Salecki sub and Salecki sub 3. I kind of just think Jim's gonna get tired. I mean, it's pretty much a given. It happens all the time. He just gets tired. And not to mention, he just cut weight like 3 weeks ago. So I can't imagine that, that's favorable for Jim at however old he is. Yeah, I like Salecki late round variants. I think sub 3 is pretty good. Plus 500 on sub 3 is plus 2,500. I like those. I just kind of think Jim gets tired and he's going to give up, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird fight to me because it's like, on the one hand, look, we've seen Salecki will proactively grapple in the past, but also like, I don't know how good his wrestling is. Like, one of the reasons we all bet him against Hubbard is that I thought it was quite clear that like, if you put Hubbard in the clinch, he'd give his back up. We talked about it on that breakdown, how it was like a near certainty Salecki was going to get his back multiple times in that fight. It was just very clear. He didn't actually even really land a takedown against Hubbard. And so it's like, maybe his wrestling's good, but I'm not really sure it is. It may be, it may not be. The problem, of course, is Miller's defensive wrestling is bad, but maybe he can stuff takedowns early in this fight and can be competitive. And then there's also this part of my mind that's like, how many times do we see guys fighting Miller or fighting other guys who have dangerous guards just not attempt takedowns and decide to test their hands? And like, I'm not saying that'll happen. Like, this is just like my devil's advocate here. But if Salecki does decide to test his hands, I kind of think he's pretty fucked here, to be honest. Like, I don't think he's going to win a striking match with Miller. I'm like pretty confident in that. And I'm pretty confident if he decided to strike for 15 minutes, that Miller's gas will probably hold up because I doubt he's going to push that kind of pace. That being said, I don't expect that'll happen. And I do expect at some point the takedowns will come. I kind of agree with you, C. I kind of like the Miller KO better than sub 2. Maybe he can land a guillotine, but I'm pretty confident once Salecki gets on top of him, he's not going to get subbed to guard. I just don't think it's likely. But yeah, I think the juice is too wide. There's too many unknowns about Salecki, and like Miller's a nice measuring stick for like whether or not like can you compete with like decent guys at 55. And we'll see. Lags, how about you?
Already touched on this.
Fuck. Okay.
It's tough with just 3 of us instead of 4 of us.
We got Mike Platinum Perry taking on Daniel Rodriguez. See, what do you got?
Yeah, I played Perry. Yeah, I think Perry's better at MMA than D-Rod. Just my own personal thing. But I think Perry, you might get the guy who has 0 brain cells, which is possible. But, I think he's in camp. They took away $50K last time, right, for missing weight. Yeah. Guy's got a kid. Maybe he's a little bit more focused. I mean, getting into camp is a pretty good sign. If you get the Perry who fought Luque, I think D-Rod gets his ass beat, personally. I think Mike Perry in general is probably like a better UFC fighter than most people give him credit for when he, has his shit together. I mean, he could grapple. I know he doesn't use it much, but I think he's genuinely like a pretty decent grappler. But yeah, I mean, D-Rod, getting hit 140 fucking times by Gabe Green, who's 5'3". It's concerning. I could see D-Rod getting hurt early. That also wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Perry's still, good chin, fucking throws. The Gall fight on the feet, kind of concerning, but look, I just think it's it's a decent fight for Perry, and I pretty much am not gonna rush to play D-Rod minus 175 versus Perry. I mean, Perry at minimum, probably takes it to a decision, and it's a split decision or it's close. So it's just my opinion. I think Perry's overwhelmingly the side here.
Yeah, I played Perry for 1 unit at plus 159. I think he literally, I'll put it this way. I think the Perry that fought Luque is kills D-Rod, to be honest. I think he beats him fairly easily. Now, look, he hasn't been, apparently Mighty Mouse just got KO'd. I wish you guys wouldn't put that in the chat because now my whole train of thought is disrupted here.
Wait, did he really?
Yeah, Magic just wrote Demetrius just died. So that happened. But anyway, back to Mike Perry. Yeah, I think he's the side here, to be honest. Like, I agree with you, C. I mean, the Perry that fought Luque and Neal, I think wins this fight pretty easy. Look, he looked horrible the last 2 fights. And while, like...
Did Eddie Alvarez win?
We're not doing this right now. Look it up on your computer. No, he lost. He got DQ'd, apparently.
Put it in there. Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, I believe so.
I knew that fight was fixed. You guys are all fucking retarded.
Anyway.
I didn't bet it, by the way.
So I didn't bet it either. Just Quinn did. Anyway, so basically what I was saying is before all this nonsense with 1FC disrupted us, anyway, look, I don't put much stock in gyms, like elite gyms at all. I do put stock in the idea that if you don't have a coach at all or a training camp, you're not going to look good. When you're just doing your own sparring, especially when you're Mike Perry, I can't imagine, you have the most sound game plan. And he looked bad his last 2 fights. But we know for a fact he did have a full training camp this time, and he had real sparring partners, and he has real coaching. And maybe it'll look bad, but like D-Rod's entire career has basically been built on throwing like crazy volume. And we just saw him lose a low volume decision to Nick Dalby. I would pick Perry pretty comfortably, even the Perry that fought the last 2 fights against Dalby, to be completely honest with you. And so, yeah, I'm on Perry. I think we've seen D-Rod get hurt. I think they're going to swing. Like, we see D-Rod could probably jab and move for the whole fight, but he doesn't do that. He sits in the pocket and bangs. It's how he got hurt by Grant. It's how Gabe Green landed 110 strikes. And if Perry's getting hit by or D-Rod's getting hit by Perry the way he got hit by Gabe Green, I think he's getting put out. And to C's point, he could land takedown. So, yeah, I like Perry here. Lex, how about you?
Yeah, I think this fight was actually pretty easy to cap in the sense that kind of like how you finish that. You either have to out-technique Mike Perry or you have to finish Mike Perry. Well, only one guy's, finish Mike Perry via strikes, Jeff Neal, and I obviously don't rate D-Rod's hands that highly or even close to that highly. So I think similar to the Bahamondes Mcdessie fight, I don't see how this fight is lying where it's at, and I think at worst this is a pick'em. Mike Perry's like this would be like what I'm saying is like I think at worst Mike Perry could justify an evens liner than D-Rod justifying a minus 185 type price tag. I think this is a close fight. I think that Mike Perry should probably be the slight favorite just because of the power and durability. But again, the output's a little bit concerning, but just the power and durability in the pocket I think should win Perry the fight.
Yeah, and it's like D-Rod may have more output too. But like I get all that, and it's like it's very easy to say, like I'm seeing in chat, oh, he's not serious, he's never serious. Perry beat Paul Felder. He had a competitive striking fight with Santiago Ponzinibbio and Vicente Luque. It's like Daniel Rodriguez is nothing when it comes to striking that Mike Perry hasn't seen. He might lose, but you're telling me a D-Rod who's, look, let's be real. He beat Means, but he was getting cut to ribbons before he hurt Means at the end of the first round, and he was just out of the fight. Daniel Rodriguez hasn't really shown us anything. And if that Gabe Green Philip Rose fight showed us anything, it's that Gabe Green kind of sucks, and that fight was pretty competitive. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to I'm happy to take the guy who's got a high number for a reason that's not discernible to me, other than Perry didn't look good his last two fights, but he's 29 and Rodriguez is 34. So yeah, we move on. Real fun fight. Nina Ansaroff taking on Mackenzie Dern. We all have a lot of money on it here. Legs, how about you?
Yep. All right. So this is the rekindling of the first fire that we started earlier with Mcdessie with Nina Ansaroff here, and yeah, I like Nina Ansaroff bigly here, and I think the big thing is with Dern is that she's had a lot of favorable matchups in the sense that I don't think any of the girls are good grapplers enough to stay safe like Verna could have, but again, lapse in fight IQ, or good enough strikers to compete on the feet. They just kind of had lapses in IQs with Ashley Yoder, a fight that was 1-1 going into round 3, where Yoder had a lapse in fight IQ and Dern won a close split decision. Randa Marcos, who was, looking decent on the feet, hurts her, drops in her guard, gets subbed. Hannah Cyphers looking decent on the feet. Stuffing takedowns in the guard, gets subbed. And then, as we saw in the last fight with Verna, we were all big on Verna. 1-1 going into round 3, lapse in the fight IQ. Could have probably wrestling, won a decision, and Dern ends up winning the decision there. But I like Nina here because I think she combines all of those previous opponents into one, in the sense that she's a solid overall striker, she's got solid takedown defense, solid cardio, and a solid fight IQ. And this fight's lined evens. Personally, I get it. I have 3 units on Nina at plus 115. I have 1.5 units on the fight to go distance. I would be very shocked to see Dern subbing Nina. So Nina hugely here.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going like insane on Nina. I'm not risking it all. She's coming, she was pregnant or whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. Whatever was going on there with Nunez's kid. But yeah, I mean, I think she was the side when it was evens. I got her like plus 100 or whatever it was. I got her like around even money or something. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think Dern is, she's so focused on boxing, which makes, almost no sense to me. It's like she should just focus on wrestling, right? I mean, well, I don't understand. Plus, the boxing that she's been doing, it's not like it fucking has worked at all. She's still just closing her eyes and kind of praying that something lands. I give it to her. She's aggressive, though. I respect it. I respect the aggression and coming forward. But I kind of just think Nina can stick and move, and pretty much just dominates it on the feet. Dern might land a big one here and there, but it's not like Nina hasn't been hit before. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I honestly don't think Dern's landing a takedown. Even if she does, Nina's not easy to control. So yeah, I mean, I think Nina's the side. Although I've overwhelmingly become more tied to goes to decision because I think it's safer. I just with
sorry, real quick. So you touched on that in the Verna fight too, and that's like hindsight, and that was probably the smart thing there because we all knew Verna wasn't going to get subbed, so why not just? It's pretty much the same price that we have in this fight.
Yeah, I've kind of come to that conclusion here is that Verna fight I didn't have enough goes to decision. I underrated Dern's ability to win a decision. So I think goes to decision here again is probably the play, especially if Nina's closes minus 175 and you can get GDT at like minus 140 or whatever it's at. I prefer that because I also don't think Nina's gonna finish Dern, even though Dern slows down a bit. I think even if you knock Dern down, you're just not going to go into her guard, right? So it kind of just, it really slims down the chance of a finish. But yeah, I like Nina. I like goes to decision. Those are the sides.
Yeah. So I'm on Nina as well. I have 3 units on her. I think, look, you guys summed up a lot of the fight. Talking about the Verna fight's just going to tilt me in rewatching this, and her just letting Nina or Dern back up with 2.5 minutes left in that fight. Really made me want to put my head in the fucking blender. But look, the thing is, look, obviously Dern's super aggressive, and maybe she can land takedowns. I don't, it's been all over Twitter. I don't think we need to rehash about Dern's 5%, takedown landed rate. But she could let a takedown, maybe 2 on the upper 5% range of outcomes here. The thing for me is, and Luke actually mentions we were talking about it, and I thought it was really pertinent, is like, where is she going to land takedowns? I don't think Mackenzie Dern's going to be hitting open mat takedowns here. And so they're going to be on the fence. And you look, when Nina's gotten put down on the fence, she's going to get right back up. Like, that's the thing. It's like Dern's jiu-jitsu can be as good as the best in the world, which it is. But when you take someone down there, if they know how to just grab an overhook and work up, it's not that hard. And, we saw Nina do that with Tatiana Suarez, who's a far better grappler than Dern is. Is an all-around wrestler and, in terms of controllability. And so it's like, I don't think even a takedown necessarily is a high percentage Dern sub. And then it's like, now look, if it happens in the open mat, that is a very, very, very different story. And then Nina's going to be in a world of trouble. But if it happens on the fence, I'm pretty comfortable. I really think she can get back up. And the rest of the fight is, look, Dern's going to come forward and throw. But if you rewatch the Verna fight, it's like I watch pretty closely to see, if Dern counters over the jab at all. Verna, whenever she'd go forward and throw a 1-2 at her, Dern kind of just takes it. She doesn't really look to counter. She can, when someone goes first on Dern, she kind of gets lost a bit and doesn't really know what to do. She's only fought one good striker in the UFC, and that's Ribas, and she got embarrassed. Look, Nina could have issues from the pregnancy. She's old. She could fall apart. That could happen. But in terms of the striking, look, yeah, Dern could knock her out, I guess, but I don't think it's going to be very close, to be honest. I honestly think the stats are pretty clear. I think the tape's pretty clear. I think you're just going to see basically Nina stick her with a jab right in her face over and over and over again. And I think you're probably going to see her outland Dern 2-1. I think a Dern win by a decision likely looks like a lot of clinch control time and something messy where maybe she hurts Nina at some point. But I think her chance to win minutes here is pretty slim, to be honest. And so, look, maybe I'll end up being wrong, but I kind of think Dern needs some kind of a crazy scramble that ends up with her on her back or an open mat takedown or, like I said, a lot of clinch time. I'm just not sure she closes distance effectively enough to do it. Like, it's easy to close distance on someone like Verna who has basically no striking acumen at all and is just going to back right up. You look at, like, Claudia, who was trying to, pressure Nina and was basically just getting jabbed over and over and over again. The small cage could help that, but I just kind of trust Nina's movement. I trust she's technically better at everything on the feet. We'll see what happens. But look, if Dern beats Nina Ansarov by decision, I'm going to be very, very impressed. And I'll probably be done fading her for a while. So, yeah, that's that. But we'll see. I'm on Nina big. So, Club and Sub endorsing Nina. We're endorsing Perry. And we're endorsing John Mcdessie. We move on to someone else that I'm endorsing. And we got Smiling Sam Alvey taking on Julian Marquez. And I bet Sam Alvey at plus 145. Again, thinking like C did with the Mcdessie fight. There's no way people are going to be betting Julian Marquez at minus 180, and he's up to minus 200 now. I might add to it. I don't really look. I get it. Sam Alvey is not a sexy guy to have money on. He's got a very dull style. He backs up straight to the fence. Guys can out-busy him pretty easily. I just when I look at this, I'm like, what skill, MMA skill, does Julian Marquez have that's better than Sam Alvey? One skill. Name me one skill. Alvey's the better boxer. He's the more accurate puncher. He is the better defender by miles. Look, Marquez, yeah, he'll go forward recklessly, but we saw him do that against Chirico, and after Chirico, it kind of rocked him twice when he was coming in recklessly. All of a sudden, his output dropped off a cliff. And I kind of think that's going to happen here. For whatever you want to say about Alvey, he does a great job suppressing volume. I would take Jung and Span over Marquez without blinking. And he managed to suppress the volume on both of those guys and have competitive fights at range. He's going to hit Marquez a lot in this fight. I don't think Marquez is going to have much success at range. And I kind of think if he tries to go at him like crazy, he's likely to get himself hurt. He could try to attack the clinch, but Alvey's actually pretty good in the clinch. I don't think he's going to have that much success there. And so ultimately, it's I kind of think minute-wise, it's probably close just because of how low Alvey's output is, but he hits pretty hard. I think he's going to be hitting Marquez cleaner all fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he hurts him multiple times here. And I don't really think Marquez has any grappling upside. So it's like Alvey has more experience. He's fought better competition, and he can pretty much, kind of counter everything Marquez is going to show him. So look, maybe Marquez just outbusies him or nukes him and he's less durable at 185. But the line makes absolutely zero sense to me, to be honest. So I'm on Alvey here. Legs, how about you?
Yeah, so I kind of like your look on the under. Actually, I think the fight ends in KO. I'm looking at it right now is -105, and I kind of like that. Actually, I'm not as much of an Alvey believer in you, but I get it with the line being wide. That's fair point. But yeah, I think that if I was having success, he's likely going to be countering him on coming in, or Marquez likely nukes him. Personally, I think the cut to 185 is going to drain Sam a little bit more, and I think that Marquez nuke is a lot later in the fight. But again, that's the thing you were saying with Sam being literally better at everything. Sam, I think, has better cardio. Not that it's by a drastic margin. It's probably about the same, but it's like a slightly better. I don't know. The line's crazy, but I'm not taking the plunge on Sam personally.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I took a little bit of Sam by decision, and a little bit of Sam. I guess I'm not, as confident as you maybe in Sam, but I have similar feelings about Marquez. I mean, it's more of like a fade on him. If you watch the Pitolo fight and then you're laying -200 here, you got to be fucking insane. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dishappy people when they've got the fucking Impa and
Marquez and Bahamondes.
Yeah, right. Those parlays are going to get busted. But yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I think Alvey probably is better just about everywhere, and Marquez, best case, is probably more volume based than anything. I don't even really think a nuke from him is super high on my outcome scale. I do think Sam kind of has him covered, but at the same time, I got I also just don't really want to put a lot of faith behind Alvey. And I want to fade Marquez pretty heavily. I don't fucking know. This is probably the time to do it though. I mean, how can you fight Pitolo and look like shit and then be -200 a month later? It doesn't even make sense. It's like, did you miss fucking 15 minutes of that fight or what? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you could legit make an argument that Marquez has literally not won a single round in the UFC. That's the thing. It's I keep hearing Alvey's a horrible round winner. It's is Julian Marquez a good round winner?
Who was he supposed to face? I think the Russian.
Was he supposed to face who? Marquez was?
Yeah, he was supposed to face Safarov. Fuck. I had +2.
Oh yeah.
And
I would love that.
Fuck yeah, he was gonna get his ass beat.
He was gonna wrestle fuck him.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But yeah, Sam, that's another one of the spots. This card, we're either going to get absolutely destroyed or we're going to have a great day. We're either going to be drinking in celebration on Saturday night or just drinking to forget the entire day.
Afternoon.
Yeah. We'll see. We move on. Fun main event or co-main event here. We got Arnold Allen taking on Sadiq Yusuf. Lags, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's funny. You're coming in, it's it's a co-main event. It's that's the thing. I don't think for the co-main event, main event, we really have much action personally, and it's because they're just such good fights. Mainly the co-main event being, and we got two good strikers here. The thing is, both of these guys use different aspects of striking to be high level. Where Sadiq uses the calf kicks and his power striking, where Allen usually uses his dismanagement, footwork, and stuff like that. I personally think that Yusuf is probably going to get off on his striking game more than Allen, but I kind of think this could come down to the grappling. But then again, saying that, I think Yusuf has pretty good get-ups, even though he has shown to be taken down. So I think this is pretty close to a 50-50 fight there. So I don't really hate anybody taking the Allen shots here. I like Yusuf, but I can't be laying -150 here.
See, have you?
Yeah, I don't have a super strong opinion. I did take some Sadiq round one knockout. It's +850. He's pretty good to just go fucking ape shit for a couple minutes before he, kind of gasses and his game starts to digress. But I think he's live pretty early. +850. I'm willing to roll a small bit of the dice on that round one knockout.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I may take that myself. I kind of feel the same way. I have like a ever so slight lean to Yusuf here. Um, I guess my problem is like, you watch the fight with Nick Lentz, and Lentz was cracking Allen whenever they'd be in the pocket, which wasn't that often because Allen controls distance pretty well. But I do kind of think when they get in the pocket, Sadiq's going to hit him and hit him hard. And look, he's just a bit more reliable to be busy and come forward than Allen is, which I do think benefits him. But that said, like, I kind of think Yusuf's game is really just based almost completely around athleticism, coming forward, throwing a lot of output, and throwing hard. And it's like that works for like Nigerians like Usman. I guess now Kennedy and Sejuku falls into that category as well. But it works for those guys. But like Yusuf got KO'd bad regionally. He got hurt by Benitez. He got hurt by Feely. Benitez was touching him up pretty bad before the knockout. Feely, when he went southpaw, was starting to have major success in round 3 too. Those are concerns to me. Yusuf's gas has not looked great. And so it's like, I do think there are areas where Allen can have success. And I think if he can kind of draw in, like, Allen suppresses volume, so maybe he won't. But if he can draw enough action and survive out of Yusuf early, he can take over in the latter part of the fight. But ultimately, like, I think Allen can be hittable as well. So it's weird. It's a weird fight because I don't think there's much chance they grapple. Like, I know Yusuf had some grappling success against Feely, but Allen's a pretty good grappler. I don't imagine he's going to have much here. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a close fight. I lean Sadiq on power and output and athleticism. But, look, if it crosses into the latter part of that second round and Allen isn't badly compromised, I think you're going to see a pretty substantial momentum shift. But yeah, it's fun. I'm excited for it to see what happens. I wouldn't bet it, but yeah, that round 1 KO plus 850 is pretty nice. Yeah, we move on. I was super excited for this main event when it was Vettori too. Now we have Kevin Holland. It's kind of funny how this works, right? Like a couple weeks back, Kevin Holland was minus 190 against Derek Brunson, and now he's fighting a guy who's probably a worse wrestler, and he's plus 280, which – all of that is to say I am not on Kevin Holland here. Look, the bottom line is I bet Brunson because we've known for ages that Kevin Holland can't grapple. That's just the fact. I'm not betting Brunson minus 330, but I will tell you this. I am somewhat looking at Brunson plus 125. Or not Brunson, sorry. Vittori inside the distance plus 125. I think it's kind of interesting because I sort of think for Vittori to justify the line, it requires him to grapple aggressively. Because like he's not going to have, I don't think he's going to have success if they're standing up, to be honest. So I assume he will grapple. And I do think if he does that, Vittori is substantially more dangerous on top than Brunson is. And then most of the guys in that division are. And given, the positions we saw Holland get himself into against guys like GM3, Brendan Allen, Brunson, if Vittori gets those positions, I think the chances of him finishing are extremely high, whether that's via ground and pound or a back take and submission. But Vittori Jiu-Jitsu is serious. So is his ground and pound. So it's like if he takes the path of least resistance, which I think we expect him to do, I think he's going to finish at some point. Because if he doesn't, then he's not the side here. But so that's my opinion. He should win this fight. I think Vittori ITD is pretty interesting since I do think that happens if he's wrestling. Lags, what do you think?
Yeah, so similar kind of opinion. I mean, I like Marvin here. I like him, obviously, like to use his grappling here, obviously the least path distance. But I kind of like the over 2.5 here, which is what I have played. 1 unit on the over 2.5 at minus 142. I kind of think this fight, it gets extended into those later rounds. Gugabe mentioned in the chat before that this is essentially a Brunson rerun, except we have a higher chance of Vittori subbing and a lesser chance of him getting KO'd. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, personally, I get it not playing Vittori because he's not going to actively wrestle as much. But personally, I don't think that Holland's going to be winning minutes because I think Vittori is smart enough IQ-wise to take that least path of resistance. So I like over 2.5 here. I think a late finish on the table for Vittori or Vittori by decision, which is at plus 190.
Interesting. See, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, Vittori did take the path of least resistance versus like Carl Robertson. So I imagine it's in his game plan to do that versus Holland. Although I do feel like, maybe Dana, big boss that he is, like, hey, this is fucking on ABC. If you're gonna be a cocksucker and just try and help Holland, I'm not giving you a title fight. So maybe they just go
Bang
out
it
there.
out.
Yeah, maybe they just go out there and like bang it out. I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, what other reason would there be to give like Holland another chance? Fucking 3 weeks later. Quite
They got
honestly,
nobody else. They got nobody else to fill it.
yeah. I mean, I honestly, my opinion on the Vittori side is really, I'd rather just play Vittori like sub one. It's kind of like my thoughts. Like honestly, if he comes out there and he's he's initiating the grappling right away, I kind of think he could pretty much insta sub Holland if he wanted to. I mean, I just think Holland's going to get in bad positions pretty quickly. It's kind of a theme of his, and Ori's smart enough to take it. So I don't really mind sub one Vittori. I don't know what that line is, but I'd be
I
interested
got
in
that
it.
for you.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going out there laying minus 400. I mean, minus 400 is him just taking the Brunson path, which it can happen. I'm just I'm not fucking doing that.
So
Plus, I do
sub is
think
sub's 9-1.
9-1 sub one. Yeah, I don't hate it. I'll probably play
Well, and
that.
it's like if he doesn't take the Brunson path, right, then you're going to lose your bet at minus 400. So it's like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do. I honestly, I really do think Dana told them fucking stand in the middle and trade.
that would be something.
And
But
Vittori's a
yeah.
fucking juice head Italian guy. He probably does.
He is such a hardo. It's unbelievable. I love it, but he's getting to become a little cringe. And unlike Cejudo, it's not intentional.
Yeah, it's not funny.
But anyway, yeah, guys, thanks for coming out tonight. So as I said, or as you guys saw, I'm sure we're either going to make a lot of money or we're going to lose a lot of money. We're taking some bold stances, hoping to continue the hot run, especially since the next couple of cards don't look particularly promising in terms of betting. But yeah, we'll see. So I mean, good luck. Thanks for joining. Like I said, please drop a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. It would help us a lot. And yeah. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys next Wednesday night. As usual, I'm John Stargarian MMA on Twitter at MMA Fat Fox, with Lags at Lags_the Capper, and C at C Hansen 10. Take it easy, guys.